Hello, my name is Jamie Reed, and for this project I chose to do option number 3 to compare and contrast two multicultural approaches to differentiating learning. I will be discussing Chapter 6, but more specifically focusing on full inclusion versus segregated settings for students with disabilities. I chose this topic because I have a 12-year-old son with autism and have had to fight for full inclusion for him because I felt like that was what was best, not only for his education, but for his overall social development and well-being. Full inclusion serves students with disabilities and other special needs students in the regular classroom setting. The idea is that the student with disabilities or special needs will learn in a regular classroom setting and have the same opportunities as their non-disabled peers. Although federal law does not mandate or require inclusion, it does require the least restrictive environment, or LRE, for students with disabilities or special needs. The problem with LRE is that there is not an agreement among educators as to what the LRE is for each student. On the flip side of this, there is segregated settings for students with disabilities. With this approach, students with special needs or disabilities are educated in a different classroom or setting than their non-disabled peers. They have little, if any, interaction with any non-disabled peers. The only similarity with these two approaches are that the students with disabilities or special needs are receiving their education from a qualified teacher. The differences are that a segregated setting literally separates the student with special needs from their non-disabled peers, while full inclusion places the student with disability in the least restrictive environment with their non-disabled peers in a general education setting. There is a great deal of debate in the world of education regarding this topic. I could probably go on for hours about my feelings because this has affected me and my family on a very personal level. I am, of course, an advocate for full inclusion. With the appropriate resources and support, I believe any student with nearly any disability can be served within the general education classroom. I truly feel that unless the safety of the student with disabilities, the other children or educators are in danger, the least restrictive environment for any student, no matter of their disability, is to be in a classroom with their non-disabled peers. I do certainly see this as a moral and ethical issue. To me, segregation of students based on ability is no different than the segregation of a student based on race or gender. But just as important as this, I feel it is the job and duty of schools and educators to include all children as much as possible in the general education setting, again, regardless of their ability or impairment. These students should have a feeling of belonging in their classroom and in their school. I pushed for full inclusion with a one-on-one aide for my son because I knew that he needed to be around non-disabled children. He needed to see what socially acceptable behavior looked like. He needed to see peers that didn't throw things across the room or hit the teacher when they didn't get their way and got upset. I believe that children, non-disabled and disabled, learn a great deal from their peers. I knew that keeping him in a room with no non-disabled peer interaction was not what was best for his overall development. The teachers and administrators were more worried about his peers not accepting him than they were his social development, and that bothered me. I know kids can be mean and cruel, but so is this world. Since my son has been in the 2nd grade, he has been in a general ed classroom with a one-on-one aide. The majority of his peers have been nothing but accepting of him. I wholeheartedly believe that my son would not be where he is today if he had been forced to stay in a segregated setting. We can't keep these children with disabilities or special needs in a bubble until they are 18 and then turn them out into a world where they are completely unprepared. Educators must keep in mind that they aren't just there to prepare children to go to college. They're there to prepare them for their future, whatever that may be. Thank you for watching.